How are we there, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Smashing Crossbar Podcast. I'm your host, Josh, joined by Ben, as always. How's things, champion?
Not too bad, mate, not too bad. Fiddling with things on the back end while he's trying to introduce me at the moment, so I just copied your intro like 3 times in my ears at once.
Happy days. And that's why we're not professionals, right? These things... Go, mate.
It can wait till the end of stream, but I'd much prefer to do it beforehand.
No, absolutely. Big thanks to, obviously, our sponsors of the show, Gabriel Mar Optometrist, Jasmine, and the Kafi Cafe in the top of town. If you guys aren't familiar with those guys, be sure to get around them. They are absolutely brilliant. We thank them for putting in, obviously, a little bit of cash to obviously help with lights and stuff like that. Without them, there is no podcast. So big shout out to those guys. If you've got anything in regarding eyewear and so forth, be sure to go down and see Gabe and the guys down there. And if you're after the best coffee in Newcastle, again, top of town, go see them and they'll look after you as well, Julian and the guys up there. So anyway, it's been an interesting week. Plenty's happened. Plenty of Euro. Heaps of Euro. How good's the Euros, Benny?
I saw the greatest post I saw today about the Euros was Gareth Southgate is the only manager that can have the Bundesliga top scorer, the La Liga Player of the Year, and the EPL Player of the Year, and put them all on the same pitch in a formation that is not effective in any way.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, you got to feel for those blokes. I've seen a photo today, 140 euros. I think the bloke paid for a ticket, and he fell asleep watching England.
I did see that.
So, go figure. So, from an England point of view for you, mate, it's
it's never good.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? So, anyway, welcome, chat. Welcome, Lukey. Robbie from the Red Army. Welcome, legend. Thanks for jumping in tonight. There's no secret. He's there in the middle. You can see him again. We are joined by Maurice. Hopefully he's brought his charger with him today.
Right on cue, mate.
There it is. There it is. So, mate, honestly, we appreciate you coming back. You didn't have to, but again, we appreciate it. There are definitely a few more questions that we didn't get through, obviously, last week, but at the same time, have come through in the last couple of days. So, yeah, how's this week been, mate? First week back at training for pretty much the squad. So, how's everything going?
Yeah, the boys got back to training on Monday, full training. So I watched a little bit of it on a Tuesday. They're looking sharp, and obviously there's a long way to go. But I think that they'll be preparing for the Australia Cup game on Wednesday, the 24th of July, up in Darwin versus Western United. Now, before we continue, I don't understand all the hate on England and Gareth Southgate. Last time I checked, this morning, Ben, you might have checked, whatever you did about having the best player here, there, and everywhere, and them being ineffective. I checked the ladder, and they won the group. They went through as group winners, and so I don't understand, all the hate for Gareth. Obviously, the English or whoever, the press, the English media, don't like winning.
No, they don't.
All of a sudden, they think they're Brazil. It's all about how they play and not the effectiveness of the outcome. But anyway,
I think it's more the fact of we're just bred now to just expect complete mediocrity. So if it's anything slightly aside from that, hands go in the air and go, "What's going on?"
Yeah, but how is mediocrity winning the group in a European Championship? How is that mediocre? I mean, it was very un-England. Aesthetics of it, right? It's aesthetically, it's probably suboptimal, right? There's other forms of entertainment that you could watch, but in terms of if you're trying to win a tournament, Italy have done it for years, haven't they?
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
Won the World Cup and then didn't qualify for the Euros, if I remember correctly, or was it the other way around?
No, they haven't qualified for the last 2 World Cups, but they are European champions.
Yeah, European champions.
Yeah, it was the other way around.
Yeah.
I think it's more. A lot of people just expected England to come second in the group because that's what England do best, is like fall over themselves.
Yeah.
I was going to say, not even Portugal got, a stick this morning for, letting the minnow side get through to the round of 16.
I did see that too.
Just trying to help the little man out. Like, come on. It's not all about winning when as you said, you've already topped the group. So just, helping those minnow sides out. Good on them.
Yeah. That's the beauty of our game, mate.
That's it.
It is.
That's it. Exactly right. Welcome, Chris. Welcome to the chat, mate. Seen Stammer returning from a much-needed trip to at Wellington Airport. Made sure he took his...
Williamstown.
Oh, Williamstown. Oh, sorry, my bad. I was going to say Wellington. What the hell? Made sure he took his golf clubs on the flight too. There you go. Off for a golf trip. Hope his handicap's not bad. Better than his score, I'm sure. Matty Taylor, welcome. Welcome, my friend. So, anyway, we're going to get into it. So, Benny, do you want to explain, obviously, the couple of questions that we got through by one of our listeners? And we got the emails.
We did. We were a bit taken aback after the podcast the other week. The next day after the podcast came out, the Crossbar Capers email address, yes, we do have one. And yes, it is open for everyone. We actually received our first email from a viewer that watched the podcast and had a whole bunch of questions. It's obviously come from this person's builders, like their business account. And I noticed there was a phone number on the bottom of it. So I'm just like, you know what? Instead of replying to this by email, I'm actually going to ring them and, personally thank them for writing into the, taking the time out of their day to write into the podcast. It's all well and good that we sit here and chat when we watch it and post questions and stuff beforehand. But this person, clearly by the way that they've laid out this email, has taken quite a bit of time out of their day to sit down and actually formally write it. In quite a way. So it was very much a phone call going, hey, thank you very much. And I think we got talking on the phone for about 45 minutes or something in depth, and he's very, very passionate about the club and the club moving forward. And there are quite a few questions here and potential suggestions as well. So we'll kick them off there from a viewer called James.
Before you go into that, Ben, just James, if you are listening now, or obviously you're listening to this back there may be one or two questions that we weren't able, we won't be able to answer tonight, but you will get those answers eventually in time.
Yeah, well, I'll try and answer them, Josh.
Yeah.
Happy to try.
Yeah. Most of them are pretty straightforward and pretty relaxed.
So I'll read the email verbatim. Hi, well done on the latest podcast with Maurice. It's the first one I have watched and listened to, and hopefully there will be more. I'm a Jets member of 10 plus years. My wife has been a member since the start of the A-League. I have some questions/suggestions that you might be able to ask using your podcast platform. Number one is, who is part of our ownership group, Maverick Sports Partners, and will we ever find out?
Yes, absolutely. You will find out, James, and everyone. Look, we're still in the process at the moment of obtaining formal APL and FA approval from a fit and proper perspective. Whilst nothing's come through formally, informally, I understand we've got through the APL approval and just awaiting FA approval, which, again, just a mere formality, but will take maybe a couple of weeks from today. So, and I think at that point, Maverick Sports Partners will start to permeate more and more through the community.
Very good. I figured that one wasn't sort of out there at the wilderness as yet due to the FA approval.
Yeah.
That one's very understandable.
Yeah.
The second one we've got here. Maurice has been called consortium representative. What is his role and title within the club now and going forward?
Okay, my current title, I'm a director, but I'm currently an executive director. So working more in the business than on the business at the moment, but still a bit of both. So I think that answers that question.
Okay, number 3 is, was Maverick Sports Partners created just for the Jets ownership, and is the name Maverick linked to a Top Gun / Jets reference?
Well, I'll answer that question in 2 parts. The second part first, yes, Maverick is completely related to Top Gun and Jets. Maverick Sports Partners, the entity, was really created late in the piece, but that's just the legal entity. The consortium of people that comprise or are part of Maverick Sport Partners have been largely together since October of last year, since we started this sort of due diligence process. Once the Newcastle Jets were officially, publicly and formally put up for sale by Cortamenta, essentially running a process that we joined back in October. So, we've been together for a long time, but the entity was only created pretty late in the piece when we felt we actually had we're well positioned to be successful in the acquisition.
I'm guessing in regards to that when you mentioned that being a legal entity, obviously there has to be like an ABN or a business name site registered to something like that for the ownership of the rights to the club.
Correct.
What else have we got here? The A-League is played in our warmer months. Being a parent, it would be good if the club had some T-shirts as part of the merchandise. These are cheaper to buy for kids to wear and can be worn anytime, and it might spread the Jets name around a bit more, as kids will be likely to wear them in everyday life, not just at games. My wife has heaps of Jets merchandise accessory items that used to be available, but there's hardly any of that nowadays. Even when everything football was involved, there seemed to be more Jets things out there in the public.
Yes, there are quite a number of questions wrapped up in that one, Ben. The T-shirts, obviously, it's a great idea. Look, what you're wearing at the moment isn't a T-shirt, but it's totally appropriate and comfortable attire to be worn in the heat of the summer. I reckon it's better than a T-shirt. But absolutely, we will have a look at bringing out some sort of T-shirt merch. That's obviously quite often a function of your merch supplier and apparel supplier and what's in their range and what they're licensed to do and not licensed to do. So it's a great idea, and certainly we'll explore that. But again, the jersey, perfect in the summertime, I think, and a great representation of the Newcastle Jets.
Just as a quick thing, give me 30 seconds.
That's all right. I'll ask. There's a couple of questions in here as well. So Sammy has just put in here. Thanks for the question too, Sam. Would we see a return of the RAF round and bring back the jerseys, as they always looked cool and was always a fun day? Now, Ben is the king of the RAF round. He has every RAF shirt possible.
Who, me?
Yeah,
I'll get every single one.
Yeah, and he would be 100%.
I think what they were meaning is something like this.
Yeah.
That was from the 2018 Grand Final. I think they're throwing them out for like $15 each, I think, on Grand Final.
Yeah. They're fantastic. Great idea. So
they're those sort of things that I'll pick up and throw in like a closet, so that like 20 years down the track, I can turn around and go, well, I've got this sort of thing.
Yeah. Some maybe in a kids pack or something like that. Kids membership, just whatever. Yeah. But good question. But regarding the RAF round, mate, again, if you've only been here for a short period, the RAF round pretty symbolic, I guess. With the Jets, it is a great day. It is definitely one of those days that the kids love. The fighter jets fly over. There's like a one-off kit sort of thing, which is fantastic. That's from Sam Thornton anyway, mate. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, we actually have had a number of conversations around this point. Now, Now, the RAF round has definitely been discussed, but we've also discussed other options in terms of dedicating rounds. Like, the Knights do a good job. I think they do a mining round, right, where they wear their kit has a sort of, similarity to a high vis vet in sort of tribute to the mining industry, obviously, which is really the foundation and fundamental to Newcastle community. So, but we have thrown up the RAF round being something that's been done before, but also other potential ideas. The Hunter Valley is rich in terms of thoroughbred breeding, so we could do maybe a thoroughbred round and have some pony rides as activations. Obviously all of the wineries in the Hunter, so we could have a winery or Hunter region round where it might be better suited for mum and dad, sipping on some wine, some Chardonnay during the summer. There's plenty you can do, but certainly it has been discussed. And without being able to commit to anything, I'd be somewhat disappointed if we didn't have at least one or two rounds dedicated to something that's very Newcastle and the broader Newcastle community, including the Hunter and Port Macquarie, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that wine tasting's a winner. You get all the girlfriends. You get all the girlfriends of the blokes on side.
Yeah, get Tyrrells or some of the really fantastic wineries that are there in the Hunter, and maybe get them all together, and we could do, the activations you could do be fantastic, right? But the same with the thoroughbred industry, same with mining, obviously maritime, RAF, there's so much associated with Newcastle that deserves a little bit of recognition, and we'd love to be a part of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Before you go back into your questions, Ben, there's just one here from Chris. Not a question, but more of a thank you. It's good to hear the Jets on the radio, nice and early in regard to memberships. Also good to see the clubs being active on social media. So just a bit of positivity for you there, mate.
That answers your question that you asked us before.
Well, I mean, we're going to make this is the thing. We're going to make as much of an effort as possible to engage with the community and grow our community. I mean, I reckon I could reel them off. All of our Rusted On fans, you meet them all the time, you interact with them all the time, you know who they are. So we want to grow. We want to grow our community, right? So the Jets community, and we want to be seen as being visible there. 600,000 people, it's going to be really hard to get to all of them individually. So really through digital media and our sort of social media program, that is a way of trying to engage with the community in a sort of really effective and modern way. And hence my question earlier, Ben, hopefully the fans and our communities start to see an uplift in that social media engagement, in the quality of the content that we're producing and the regularity of that. And that is conscious, and that will continue.
I will say the two short videos for the signing announcements, like the clues and stuff, just putting it out there, I'm already 2 from 2. I'm already 2 from 2.
Maybe a little bit harder for you, Ben. Might need to be a little bit harder. Yeah, it doesn't help when doesn't help.
They were scratching their heads on the first one, and I'm like, nah, it's this one.
I can't comment because I know the answer before they're produced.
Yeah, doesn't help that Wikipedia almost knows the answer as well, unfortunately.
Hey, you were told many a time ago, do not trust Wikipedia. That got you in the bad books.
Yeah, it did. Former coach. Don't bring that up, Ben. It's not.
You were not Kenny Miller's friend after that.
Kenny Miller, yeah, robbed him of about 212 games apparently. So he wasn't happy with it. Wikipedia doesn't always work for you. Keep them, as I said, guys, keep the questions coming in the chat. If you haven't done so already, be sure to share this out now, live. We are live, so be sure to share it on YouTube and on Facebook to everybody. Get everyone in here, and keep going, Benny. Obviously, I'll let you go back with the questions.
This one sort of ties into what Chris said, Chris's question before. It would be great if the club could do something together with some past players to boost the public profile of the club and raise interest going into games. Players like Joel Griffiths, Nikolai Topol-Stanley, Nigel Bugard, Jason Hoffman, if they were on the radio saying, "Hi, I'm Joel Griffiths, I'm Nikolai Topol-Stanley," etc., etc. We all loved playing for the Jets, and now we love supporting them. See you at the game this weekend. Yeah, it might come across as a bit corny, but people listen to their radios driving to work and coming home from work. People know who these players are, record it as a video, and have it as a social media for the younger ones too. If the club wants more than 5,000, 6,000 to a game, then it will have to find a way to encourage and potentially coax the people who aren't part of the nailed-on existing members. I don't expect the club to use my example, but anything that isn't hugely expensive is worth a try.
Yes, there's a lot in these questions, Ben.
That's what I mean. He sat down and he took some time.
I'll try and answer or sort of make comment to the best of my ability there, because there is a lot in that question and incredibly valid, every component of it, right? So let's start with the past players. Okay, we'll start with that one. Jason Hoffman's already an employee of the Newcastle Jets. He's going to be working actually this week. Demir, Rob Stanton's assistant's getting married, so he's away this week. So second week on the job, Jason's had to go out on pitch and help with the first week of training. So
you'd love that.
Yeah. Look, he's enjoying. I think he's enjoying being involved in the club and seeing all the different aspects. But he will be involved in community aspects and also our corporate aspects. And he's already doing. I mean, we some of the initiatives we've got player sponsors, player sponsorship program that we've had in the past, but we've sort of formalised it a bit more. And we've also introduced a Jets in Business network club, and Jason will be involved and directly responsible for some of the aspects of that. And he's already got businesses reaching out to him, and he's engaging with the business community in Newcastle, and the response has been really, really good. I've had coffee, obviously, with Jason a couple of times. I've had coffee with Nigel Bogard. I had coffee with Matt Thompson. I'm having regular meetings with ex-players to try and bring them back. Some of those guys are reaching out to me, wanting to be involved. Again, it's the response and the engagement from these guys has been fantastic. And one of the things, it was actually introduced last year. We've got a Legends room. So in the corporate suite area where there's the Chairman's Club, next door is a Legends room. It's a lot more casual, relaxed. With the intention there that we'll have some music, a DJ. It's a really cool corporate suite, great way to watch the game. And Jason and the ex-players, the idea of the Legends room is that legends of the club, both men and women, will pop in, say good day, have a chat, and really engage with the fans that are in the Legends room. So that's what's happening there. Can we get them on the radio? Like we will do. We have a lot of a calendar of content in place that will be revealed, and all our fans and the communities and our members will see that. Past players, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, but you'll see past players in a lot of that content. I'm not too excited, and I'm not too happy with the word coax. I really don't want to coax people to come to the game. If we need to coax people, that's going to be a problem. Again, I think another word, like we need 6,000, or we need what we want. I can't remember what was used. If we want more than 6,000, we need to do this. Well, we don't want, we need. The club needs, right? This is about what the club needs, not what I or Maverick Sports Partners wants. It's what we hope and what we will work towards. But the club needs, right? That's really what it is. Okay, more than one. So hopefully we'll get more than 6. Things are tracking well from a membership. All the indicators are that it is a little bit more advanced than prior years, which is a good sign. So everything's headed in that direction. We'll do everything we can to make football fans and the people of Newcastle want to come to games. We're going to be investing in game day activations and experience. So the people that go, albeit, the rusted-ons all the way to the first-timers, hopefully at the end of the game, if mum and dad maybe aren't that interested to come back, hopefully the kids really want to come back. So, we'll do our best to move down that track for sure. So hopefully that sort of answers most of what was in there, Ben. If I've missed anything, just let me know and I can get back to it.
You pretty well covered it. You pretty well covered it all.
All over it. Bloody, there's a few in here as well. I'm just reading through, try and get the Screaming Jets at halftime entertainment. Absolutely. Let's do that. Talk about Newcastle. Get them up in the top stand, not on the field. Just get them up. We don't sell out the top bay at the moment, so get them up there. Screaming Jets, kick off round 1. That'd be good.
You are talking about the band Screaming Jets, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Nova Cash, through and through, homegrown.
Yeah.
But same thing, you talk about, getting, local businesses and everything in, local acts and stuff like that. Just anything, I guess, on RAF round or something. Like one of those.
If not, I hear Save the Humans are available.
Yeah.
Hey, Save the Humans, absolutely.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm saying too much, but there definitely was a moment where there was Tom Logan, our head of media, Shane Matisse, our CEO, and myself in the car, and we were playing Screaming Jets as we were trying to work out what to play at halftime, what to play after the game. Obviously, pre-game is fixed and won't be moved.
Never tear us apart.
No, yes, love it. And so we're talking through all that. Getting a live band in, we didn't get that far, Ben. Silverchair's been discussed. Get them back together for one gig at McDonald Jones would be pretty good. But we are look again. They're all things that are talked about on a regular basis. That we want to do. We want to try and make people want to come. Make people want to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I sit there from the other side of it as a qualified theatre technician in lighting, sound, and stage management.
Don't say too much.
Logistically, like all the sound gear and equipment for a halftime gig that may be one song, that's a lot of work. Like, that's a lot of stuff to lug around and to fiddle with, especially when you try and patch it all into like stadium-based audio system. Oh God, I feel very, very sorry for the audio tech that needs to mix that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There was another quick one just in here, which I didn't think too much about it last year, obviously, but now that I've got young kids and so forth, I probably should, to be fair. But the Jet Boy, Jet Girl, there wasn't much action of them last year.
Yeah, that's my next question here.
Yeah, no, they were out and about the other day.
Yeah. There you go.
Jet Boy, Jet Girl. They were definitely out the other day. There was a photo of them with two young girls in their outfits. I can't remember what club it was, but they went out to visit. It was either a club or a school. It's definitely on one of our social media posts last week. Again, one of the great aspects, about being around the club the last 6 weeks, there are a lot of stories about Jet Boy and Jet Girl. Yeah. And people that have been in those suits, including one, Jason Hoffman was Jet Boy once.
Yep.
And so, it's incredible, like how many people, even within the office, have worn Jet Boy and Jet Girl.
Oh, yeah.
try. Yeah, so they'll be back. Don't worry. But they are out and about at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. I'd say it must be where someone must have seen the photo and gone, oh, when are they coming back? So there you go. So people are definitely seeing the stuff, which is great. As I said, talk about it's out there. Everyone's noticing the fact that there's a lot more media presence from the club in early stages of this upcoming season, I guess. What else have you got there, Ben?
All right. So I've got here, looking from the outside in.
Yep.
It's assumed we have been underfunded on and off the field and probably in all departments. Well, we had APL Club Consortium ownership. What will MSP be adding behind the scenes to give our club a better chance of success and sustainability? E.g., Jason Hoffman's newly announced role seems like a new position we haven't had before, or at least in recent times. Will there be any additions? Will there be any additional coaching staff roles? And I'm going to add to this one by going just any roles across the organisation in general.
Okay. Okay.
I know it's a tricky one for you to try and answer.
No, not at all. I'm just trying to capture everything because there's a few. Each of these questions have a number of components to them. So, was the club underfunded? I don't think so, right? Because I'll try and explain how I define underfunded, right? The club probably under every ownership of the Jets, the club has lost money every year, right? So for the club to be a going concern, that is, lose money one year and continue the next year and continue the year after, and losing money each year, it requires funding, right? So there is a funding requirement just to get the club continuing, right, as a going concern, right? So what the question is really asking is the overfunding, not the underfunding. So, okay, we've funded it so we can keep the club afloat and operating and put a men's team on the field, put a women's team on the field, have 13 academy teams on pitch, and all of the off staff that goes with it. Make sure we've got ticketing sorted, merchandise sorted, and all these things that require staff and resourcing, right? So the overfunding was probably less than what the fans would have liked, but it's only because the underfunding requiring it to get up was so significant, right? So our plan is to have a strategy that will help elevate the club to become sustainable, which at that point it's a lot easier to overfund, right? And the concept of underfunding goes away, right? But to do that, and this is where the difference in ownership will make a little bit of difference, is to be fair, the four previous owners did a great job, right? They didn't have to do it. They did it because they felt, as owners of four other clubs and part of the A-League, that a Newcastle Jets was fundamental to a successful A-League. So keeping the Jets going was really important to the growth and sustainability of those four clubs and for the growth and sustainability of the A-League as a whole. All right? The A-League without the Jets is sort of incomprehensible, really. I couldn't be able to rationalise that in my mind. So that's where they came in to support the league and their clubs and the Jets. Now, of course, if a sponsor came along and said, I'm going to give you $500,000 to be the front of shirt sponsor, there are four clubs there saying, well, actually, how about coming over to one of my clubs? So, not that they would have done that, but they're running their own clubs and they're trying to, minimise the losses that I know they're making as well, right? So it's hard for them. They've done more than their bit as far as I'm concerned. So, kudos to them the Jets may not have been around if it wasn't for them. So what we will do is try and, implement a strategy and really focus on the Jets and all of the things we've talked about in terms of the community, the business community, and hopefully more attendances and more memberships, which will mean that the underfunding goes away and we can concentrate on overfunding. Right?
Yeah.
Will we see the other part was more staff? Yes. And I'm not sure these are new roles. They were probably there at some point in the life cycle of the Jets, I'm sure, but we are a bit underdone in certain areas in the club, and the commercial part of it is one where we needed more support. So Jason's been recruited to help out there. In terms of our digital and marketing, we probably need a bit there. Like, there's probably a need for resource, like, to be really optimal across all areas. So, the academy, the women's team, the men's team, commercial, consumer, community, that we could do with more people in there. Like, we could do with a bit of
everything.
Increase, across the board. The question is, if you do that all up front in one hit, the underfunding becomes even more underfunded, right? So we sort of go backwards before we go forwards, and I get it. We've got to take one step back to take two steps forward. We understand that, but we want to try and do it in a strategic, measured, and sustainable way.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we can hang in for the fight as long as possible.
I think that's the biggest thing for us as fans was what we need. We don't want to be stressing about this again in 2 to 3 years' time. We want to be successful and just enjoying the success. And if it's taken 3 years to get an extra media bloke in or get some extra bodies behind the front desk or whatever it may be, so be it. You know what I mean? That is what it is.
Hopefully it doesn't take 3 years, Josh, but it will be a measured, strategic, sustainable approach to what we do.
Yeah, it's the way I sort of look at it is, it's not new ownership is specifically in the A-League. It's never a magic bullet. It's a nice thing, and it's something that obviously has to happen every now and then. Generally every club in the A-League has happened to at one point. It's all about balance. It's not like your English leagues and that, where a new owner comes in and they can just turn around and just go, here's $100 million on a new stadium. Here's $100 million for a new stand. Here's $100 million in, I don't know, training equipment or kit sponsors or whatever. It's got to be tactful, very tactful. And as you mentioned, it needs to be planned very strategically in the A-League, just because trying to balance it to a point where the club is not overfunded or underfunded or there's finer margins when trying to do that to an A-League club. I mean, having things like the salary cap do help with things like that, but the money sort of going around in comparison to even English League One as to the A-League, it's mountains and molehills.
Yeah.
In the way that it is.
Yeah.
And for the A-League, it just has to be done very tactfully. So in, say, a League One or a Championship, you may see it happen within the space of 6 to 8 weeks of a new ownership coming in. You've got to be somewhat realistic of the financial situation of the new owners coming into the A-League club as to the timeline of things happening as well.
Yeah. Look, we're a bit off track and in terms of talking about the Jets, but they're really valid points that you make, Ben, and it's a function of where we are at in Australia as a sport. So it's a challenge for the league and the sport. Ultimately, there's some nuances around our sport. As you rightly point out, we participate in a global market, which means, in a global market where salaries are benchmarked globally, you know, the player, what you can pay a player here in the A-League compared to even countries in Asia, what they pay their players, let alone what you can command in Europe, makes it really difficult from a playing roster point of view because we're on a global market. The AFL, you know, they've got the advantage. It's an indigenous game. There isn't a global market, so you know everything is relative within Australia. So you can manage salary caps a whole lot better because of you know the market that you're in. So that's an advantage for them. But it's also an advantage for us. Our disadvantage is in a global sense, our game. And again, the administrators of our sport over the last 20, 30 years need to take some responsibility for this because in a global market, our Australian football community, and whether that's you know players, clubs, leagues, have been undervalued for a very long time in a global sense, right? So,
very much so.
You're just seeing some of the statistics now about the increase in transfers, what some of our players are getting, you know, from Geordie Boss going for $2 million to Paulson now, you know, if you believe the numbers that are going there around there, that's $3-4 million. I mean, the Story for $3 million to Bayern. Mate, I'll guarantee you, the Story was a Brazilian playing in the second division in Brazil. He would have gone to Bayern or Barca for between $10 and $20 million, right? Now, everything in terms of statistics, transfers are up, transfer fees are up. This is both men and women. So all of a sudden, the global market is starting to slowly recognise the talent that we have, both boys and girls, and you know that recognition is starting to come through. But that will continue, you know, and that will help our game because those funds and transfer fees will flow back into our game, into our clubs and into our leagues, right? So that's one of the real sort of benefits I see in our game. But that's up to, you know, agents who operate in global markets. It's up to our administrators, you know, starting to have World Cups, you know, the Women's World Cup here will start to put Australia on the global map as a serious breeding ground for great talent, right? So fingers crossed that continues. But that's part of, you know, it's a challenge and it's going to get better and it's going to help our sport, the league, and hopefully the Jets as well, both from a men and women perspective. The final thing, you know, the private ownership versus, you know, the AFL have the member-based ownership. Now, I'm a huge fan. I'd love for the Jets one day to be member-owned, right? But if you're losing, you know, $2, $3, $4 million a year, it can't operate as a member-owned organisation because, you know, who's going to tip? You know, who's going to tip the underfunds, man, as opposed to the overfunds, right? So that's why sustainability is really important for every A-League club. So one day, you know, it could potentially be a member-based organisation and doesn't have to worry about who the owners are, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
My ideal situation for it is that at some point in the future, it could be 30, 40, 50 years from now, is that the A-League, to an extent, it'll take one club to start it and to see the good results from it to then push on to other ones. But I quite like, and I think would work eventually down the track of the Bundesliga system, which is 50+1.
Yep.
I think that is probably the best way. I don't see it being wholly member-owned, as much as that would be an amazing thing.
Yeah.
I just think there's just too much risk in it.
Yeah. And have a look at what that model does to attendances in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Right? Talk about engaging fans, right?
And I was about to say, and support bases itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Right?
Yeah. just got a quick one in here. We touched briefly on the women. We've spoke about the men, obviously, in a little bit of depth. Plenty of new signings and everything else coming through as well since the last time we spoke to you last week as well, which is fantastic. But the women, mate, is there anything you can tell us there? Like, I don't know when they're not going to be looking to come back for training for obviously quite a bit of time.
Yeah,
through the season.
A bit of time there.
Bit of time, so not much. So, you can sort of take that breather. But the likes of Bolden last year, absolutely.
Yeah, she's got another year on her contract.
Yeah. Absolutely.
She's got a year to run, so there's no issue there.
Yeah.
So, look, the issue with Serena is, again, just on the point I was just talking about, there is a lot of interest from around the world in relation to Serena Bolden, right?
Yeah. And rightly so.
Yeah. I mean, yes. So look, the last time I checked, I'm pretty sure that we have about 14 of this last year's squad sort of locked down, ready to go contractually. I think was the number. Yep. I haven't been very involved like that. Shane, sort of our CEO, has been doing that with Robbie Stanton for the men and obviously Ryan Campbell for the women's team. So, but there's been there's been equal activity and action happening on both teams. So we haven't made many announcements yet, and there will be. I'm pretty sure there'll be some announcements next week. A bit of a teaser, maybe in relation to the female part of of the Newcastle Jets.
Yeah. Did he sign on for, or is this season coming, or is this still just an interim? Do you know that? I think
Ryan Campbell.
Campbell, yeah.
Yeah, no. He'll be the senior coach for this season.
Yeah, he signed. Yeah, cool. Yeah. I swear I think I've already read that, but I just couldn't remember. I was at the members. I was like a members down in the dressing sheds at the very end of the season, which was fantastic. And he sort of dropped the ball with Bolden. While he was having his little speech, he sort of started the conversation and then just looked at Shane and just went, "Oh shit! Can I say that? She's signed for next year, hasn't she?" Like.
Yeah.
He's fit really well. Personally, from come in, the way he came in, and done great things. So sort of no brainer, I guess, keeping him on board.
Yeah, well, the girls, they made the semi, and one game away or 2 games away from a grand finals is a fantastic effort. With a change of coach mid-year, that's always a little bit, it's not always. It can be unsettling. So they did a great job, and with all of the, it didn't help that certain senior people in our game were basically saying the Jets weren't going to be around 2 weeks' time, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't help you sort of game day prep when you're going into finals.
Yeah.
To be fair, so the girls, the mental toughness that the girls, displayed to get to where they got to, given the macro environment that was around them was an enormous effort.
Yeah, look, I was down there at down there at where was it, Ben? Where did we play it again? Bloody down.
What do they call it now?
What's it called?
Fields
The Ironbark Fields. That's the one, just around the corner.
I don't know if they've actually got a name for it now or not.
Yeah,
Ironbark.
It was about 60 minutes in when things were looking a bit rough for the people at Western. So I saw a couple of them zoom down and flick the lights off.
Yeah, it was an interesting night, but great. It was freezing cold. Jesus, it was cold. But God, it was cold. But at the same time, just even past players, like Claire Coelho, and that was sitting with us and everything else, and it was just great. They were so excited and so keen just to watch, and soak up the success. You know what I mean? Obviously, probably a little bit upset they probably weren't there themselves, but at the same time, it was really good to get behind the girls, make the trip down there. A few other Jets fans come down with us, and hopefully, as you said, one better, and
absolutely awesome. And 7,000 people at Maitland for the semi against Melbourne City.
Exactly.
That was a tremendous turnout.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap up.
Before you go too further, Josh, I just want to finish off the rest of this email because there may be questions, queries, comments, other things that can be answered from the rest of this. So the closing part of this is, I've played soccer since I was a small child and have always supported Newcastle football since going to a Newcastle Breakers game back in the day. I'm also an NRL fan, but I have never and will never be a Knights fan. It always pisses me off that the Hunter area is always Knights first and Jets at a very distant second. Outside of the diehard Jets fans who show up every season, I still think that there are people out there who want to support the Jets. They probably do it for a while. Then we get an owner who goes broke or the team goes on a losing streak, etc. I think MSP will need to show the public that they are genuine in their efforts to support the club and are passionate about it, which I think they are. Being a force in the community and show a care factor towards the club and the region. If the public is convinced that the Jets have stable, caring owners, they will be more likely to part with their own money to buy tickets, memberships, merchandise, etc. Good luck to all involved in the Jets and keep the podcasts coming.
Okay. There's a lot there.
Passionate bloke.
There's a lot there too. I'll try and... There's about 4 or 5 bits. I'm nearly 60. My dementia's about to happen. So you might have to remind me some of the bits in there. But, of course, we at Maverick Sports Partners would love everyone to get on board and part with some or a tiny bit of their hard-earned cash. I can tell you, Maverick Sports Partners are parting with hard-earned cash every day and are anticipating to do that for the next, period of, it'll be, we're sort of anticipating 3 years. We think we can start to get the Jets sustainable. It's not going to be overnight. So we will be parting with cash, with our cash for quite a while. So hopefully the community can join us in that ritual on a weekly.
I already have with my membership.
So that's that. Let's get back to the Knights. I don't think that's a reason. Hate's a horrible word, right? So, I think I haven't been here long enough to understand the. It's not politics, but the Knights and Jets thing, right? But one thing, until someone tells me otherwise, and I see proof of that, I think. I like the Knights and I like the Jets, and I think they both are an important part of the Newcastle, Hunter, Port Macquarie community. I think they are both fundamental to the people of Newcastle, right? One of them not being there, again, is incomprehensible, okay?
Yeah. So it doesn't work without the other.
I'm just going to accept that there's a beautiful coexistence. We play in the same stadium. Traditionally, our colours are the same. We've moved to the gold with the start of the A-League, but before that, we had similar colours. Play in the same stadium. The NRL is in the winter. The A-League is the summer. The crossover is really minimal. It's just a beautiful thing for the Newcastle community to have access to professional sport across 2 competitions over a 12-month period, right? How good's that, right? Beautiful. Now, if we're all going to get uptight because everything is about the Knights, well, the reality is they've got over 20,000 members. Josh was at the game 2 weeks ago on a Sunday. They had 27,000 people there. So if the Newcastle Council, if local MPs, if the political world and the business world sort of think it's a Knights-dominated town, well, it probably is, right? Yeah. The data and the statistics will tell you it probably is, right? Yeah. It's commanding more eyeballs, it's getting more foot traffic, it's creating more interest, It's a better news story. They're getting more clicks. All of those things sort of would dictate that the Jets, if someone said they're the poorer cousin or the second-class citizen, you know, someone has to be in business class and someone's got to be in cattle class, right? That's, you know, that's a Jets analogy too, by the way. Just quite happy to.
No, we got it.
You know, so be it. So if we're sick and tired of it, the only way we're going to change that is to fill that stadium and surpass them in membership, right? And given the things that I see in the community and the stats that I see around participation and the people that are playing our game versus playing NRL and all of the things that attach to that, the size of, you know, the 600,000 that are in Newcastle and the Hunter and Port Macquarie and the broader region, there's nothing there that would indicate to me that that's not possible. So let's work to get that. Could we get there? You know, it's probably about the same time as the 50+1.
Yeah,
Ben, right?
Yeah.
The Bundesliga might be 30 to 50 years away, but that's what we need to strive for. But certainly the foundations are actually there. We need to somehow find a way to you know, unlock the genie, and it's not going to be spending millions and millions of dollars on players and Ferris wheels at activations. And I don't know. There isn't a secret sauce. It's really up to us. It's up to us and the community, right?
Yeah, and I was about to say at the same point as well, it shouldn't be all up to Maverick Sport Partners to do that either. It's as much their responsibility as what it is ours as supporters of the game and members, and it's just as much what we have to do as what the owners need to do.
Yeah, and we've said it pretty clearly from the start. This is really a litmus test, not just for us but for the community too, right? You know, it's how important are the Jets to the community? That's what this boils down to, and we will push every limit and we will test that hypothesis. And you know, until we find we're just banging our heads against the wall, I suppose.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I think it's, you know, even I don't know. For me, the biggest thing, and I've spoken a bit about this many years, you know, is just the local businesses. For me, I just don't sort of, you know, I feel that there's so many great local businesses in the Hunter, and I don't know why, you know, they're not getting on board, you know, in some capacity. You know, I mean, like, you know, like you talk about, you know,
in previous years, yeah.
I'm not obviously you can't quote on this year because we don't know what's going to happen, right? But you know, Andy Roberts, you know, you look at Andy Roberts and you know,
love the general.
You can't go past the general, right? And he does it because he just loves the club. You know,
he does.
But there's got to be others. There's got to be others that, you know, maybe don't have that sort of connection like he does, but still love, you know, supporting the club. So, you know, hopefully we can see more of that. You know what I mean? And hopefully, as you said, you know, you guys have stated obviously in your statements and everything else that, you know, you want to try and get out and engage more with them to try and sort of weed them out and get them in, and fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Look, there's a couple of aspects to that, right? So you know, Josh, you can question, you know, the business community and why aren't they jumping on board? But yeah, I get the sense hanging around Newcastle, and I've spoken to a lot of people already. I just get a sense maybe historically the relationships with the club or the Jets and the organisation and the business community more broadly has been somewhat transactional, right? And so, you know, having partnerships and having sponsors and developing that takes time, and it's about relationships. You know, businesses are only going to put in if they can see they're going to get something
out of it,
and that's something. You know, it's not always, you know, am I getting value? But it's what's my relationship bringing me? Is it opening up a network? You know, does someone really care about it? And so if you look at the previous owners, they were probably not as reliant. I'm sort of just hypothesizing here. I'm not casting any dispersions on previous owners, but if you're really rich and you've got a whole lot of money, and you can just chuck it in yourself, you don't have the time, and you're really not that interested in developing relationships that will be there forever, that will help the club. And that's part of our mantra is, we're not in that, we're not in the sort of Nathan Tinkler realm or others. And we're there, and we're prepared to build relationships over time that will hopefully remain with the Newcastle Jets, for generations.
Yeah. For me, I think that what you've just described there, that whole not so much wanting to connect with the community because there's already an owner there that can just basically chuck it in himself. That, to me, the minute you said that, my brain immediately went to, well, I'm pretty sure we hit that point during Martin Lee where it was just, that's fine, I'll do it myself. He was the front of shirt kit sponsor with Ledman and all that. And I think that's, for me, looking at it a bit more in depth, I think that's where a lot of that communication with the business and corporate side of things sort of started to break down. And it's slowly, it's been identified post that period. And there has been a slow ramp up to getting those community, getting those corporate partners back on board. Prime example, Port of Newcastle. The first thing for me, there is nothing worse for me than going to a professional football game and not seeing a front of shirt sponsor. There's nothing that annoys me than a plain shirt. It's nuts. And we did it for 2 years. And I know Laurie did absolutely everything he could to put something on the front of that shirt for years.
He was going to put his face there.
Well, I think for a couple of games we had, what was it? Something to do with fires, some charity organisation we had on it.
Oh, yeah, there was,
For a couple of games.
Yeah.
And then we had the very hastily put on Privium Homes screen print for a couple of games towards the end of the season or something. But it was obvious that there was no corporate structure back then that was willing to come back to the fold because of the prior I'll just do it myself sort of attitude. But we slowly, the cogs were in motion back then to sort of get it running. It starts with the front of shirt sponsor. Then it starts with a sleeve sponsor. And then corporate partners on game day. Andy Roberts doing the suits for the players. All that.
Look,
you could notice that it was coming.
And it's not cheap, right? I get that.
There's that too. We thought about putting money in for it once.
Absolutely. You know
but
what I mean?
It's actually getting some really kit assets, whether you're on the front, the back,
they're expensive.
The sleeve, the shorts. It's getting the exposure and the eyeballs it's getting through the broadcast. It's actually on a really strong upward trajectory over the last 3 years in particular. It's coming off a pretty low base, but it's actually it's really good value inventory, and certainly from a Jets point of view, they get our sponsors. They've stuck fat over some pretty difficult times in the last few years, and they'll really start to see, I think, the benefits this year of a genuine partnership and a genuine willingness to grow those relationships and hopefully make them everlasting, and growing together is really important. And the Port of Newcastle have been tremendous supporters of the club for a long time. And they're really cool. I've had a couple of meetings with the guys at the Port of Newcastle, and it's interesting to see how much of a sort of a focal point they are to the broader business community, and how much is linked into the ports, whether you're a car dealership or a logistics supplier or all sorts of different, a steel manufacturer, all sort of linked, a mining company, all sort of linked to the port. It sort of links a lot of a
It's
lot
the
of the
lifeblood of the
community
region.
together. Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to anyone at the port at the moment.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
For me, it's the Port. It's Greater Bank.
Yeah,
as well. They've been through us as well.
They're a great community partner of ours, and
Absolutely.
A large portion of all the community programs we run are supported by Greater Bank, and we would have difficulty in even doing a portion of that without their support. So
the other one that comes to mind for me is Jolly Boy at Inspiration.
Inspiration Paints. 10 years. This is their 10th year, Inspiration Paints.
Yeah, good old Joel. He's absolutely.
When we had nothing, he was the first one to put his hand up and go, put my logo on the front.
Yeah, and that's it. Even if you couldn't afford it.
This is their 10th year, so shout out to them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, Joel, does great things for the club, and good on him. Quickly before we go, guys, going to wrap it up. There's just obviously, what have we got in here? Again, thanks to everyone who's jumped in. We're sitting at about 28.
Sorry, I've been waffling.
That's all right. No, that's fine, mate. We've got about 28 people in the chat live listening at this point in time, which that's pretty good for us, especially at 8:00. I know it's sort of late, but what have we got in here? Will the club work with fan pages to help promote the club? And what is your opinion about the fan pages? What have you thought? You've been doing some digging, having a look into the fan pages, mate?
Okay. Are we talking the Facebook fan pages? Instagram fan pages?
I would say so. Just there's a few out there. Obviously, you got the Newcastle Jets family page, and there's a few other just
Newcastle Jets supporters group.
I've been doing as much. It's investigation's not the right word, but I've been trying to get across as many of the social media channels that relate to the Jets, whether they're official sites or fan sites. The same with podcasts, and I do go through the comments. I go through all the. I do, with downtime, go through all the comments on sort of some of our posts. The fans. At the end of the day, the fans are the lifeblood of the club. They are the club, right? And they're entitled to say whatever they want to say. And and my view is, it's been pretty positive, right? And I'm talking. I don't want to put an exact number on it, but I reckon 80-90% of it's pretty positive, right? And then if I take the negative stuff, okay, there's been a couple The kit supplier is one that pops up all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So, if that's the main gripe, I reckon we're going okay.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
100%.
So
I have them in the realm of I'll look at them, but I will not comment on them. I will not comment on them.
Hopefully, I'm not speaking out of school, but those things we do want to engage, right? So if someone puts a question on a Facebook post, I've told my guys, to the extent you can, as long as it's not offensive, answer, engage, talk to them. We'll try and do that as much as we can, right? Obviously, there's you got to mind your P's and Q's, and there's protocols, and there's things that it's easier said than done. But I've said to the guys, have some fun with it if you can. Try not to offend anyone, and let's see where that takes us. The plans are in place at the moment. We will have, and I don't know. I've spoken to you about it, Josh, and we'll continue to support the Smashing Crossbar, of course, but we will have hopefully Newcastle Jets, sort of our official weekly podcast that we will produce each week, that will cover every aspect of our club. The academy, the girls, and the men's. And as you know, Josh, I've reached out to anyone and everyone who has a social media fan page or their own podcast, and I'm going to get everyone in a room so we can get to the preferred social media, YouTube, digital content space that
Agree.
everyone is happy with and caters for everyone's needs. I.e., we need a fan podcast. We don't want the official club line every time. We listen to the podcast. The fans want to have a say. They need to have a say, right?
Absolutely.
So there needs to be something that's there for the fans, and maybe there needs to be something that's there for our partners. So we will make sure we try and engage with every aspect of the organisation and every aspect of the community, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, yeah, look, at the end of the
including the haters, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got another side question for you here.
Oh, yeah.
How many times in looking through those fan groups, how many times have you seen the fold the club joke?
Have I seen
the fold the club joke?
I think I've seen someone just fold the club, but I'm not sure I've seen it in a Newcastle Jets context.
Yeah.
That's the, I think over the past couple of years, that's been the biggest taking the piss joke I have ever seen across any of the
Yeah, but they're not. That's other club fans, trying to generate a bit of banter, right?
Oh, absolutely. Most probably.
Yeah. But that's okay too. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
We love a bit of banter.
You want the feet.
If you don't, I think if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong, right?
That's right.
That's the thing. If you haven't got a fan page that hasn't got a couple of supporters from other clubs in it, you're doing something wrong, in my opinion. I've liked the Western United group, Adelaide group. You want to be in there. You want to be in there seeing what's going on and what they're talking about, and what's
but
going on.
You're not posting just fold the club, right?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm just sitting back. I can't really use Western United because again I get on really well with both their supporter groups, right? But those two are definitely ones that I'm part of, and as I said, they're both doing great things, and hopefully this year we can continue that trend as well. So, but anyway, guys, we are going to wrap it up. What we got here? Number of
O'Neill's shout out.
O'Neill's and Sid Fogg's. Yeah, there's one that doesn't get a shout all that often. Sid Fogg's, who obviously haven't done it too much in the last couple of seasons, but obviously getting the fans down to a few of the games and that in the past years, maybe that might be something to come back. Nothing better than putting $20 or whatever of cash in to get a return bus trip down to Gosford or down to Sydney, or nothing worse than driving 2.5 hours in a car on your own.
Well, especially if you want to have a drink. If you want to have a drink, that's the bit. That's obviously the best thing about having the bus, right?
Absolutely, and unless you are, if you have to, make sure just whack the podcast on. It'll kill a couple of hours. Right?
Force them all to listen to it.
Yeah, listen to it.
Like no one voluntarily wants to spend 2.5 hours in a bus, right?
Oh, absolutely not. I looked at it the other day for when we beat Western United in a couple of weeks, and we've got to go down to Sydney midweek. And I was like, geez, 2.5 hours down to where are we going again? Bloody Rockdale. Like, I was just like,
oh yeah.
I'm like 2.5 hours on a Wednesday night. I'm like, oh man, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah. Well, I spent 2.5 hours in a bus on Monday.
Oh, did you?
Going from Sydney. Well, I was nearly Sydney Airport to Newcastle Airport.
Oh wow. Yeah, right. Yeah. Catch the train.
Because we couldn't land. I flew out of Melbourne on the 6:40 a.m. into Newcastle, scheduled to land in Newcastle at 8:10, and there was fog, and the plane couldn't land. So it circled for about 30 minutes, and just before it ran out of petrol, it got diverted to Sydney, and then we waited half an hour on the tarmac. Waiting for the fog to lift so we could fly back to Newcastle Airport, and then they decided after half an hour that it wasn't going to happen, and then so we had to disembark, get our luggage, and wait an hour for a bus to spend 2.5 hours getting back to Newcastle Airport, and then another 40 minutes to Spears Point. So that was an incredibly long day.
If anything, Josh, I'm more likely to do those sort of FFA Cup games because it's those NPL clubs where you will get the best feed.
Oh, yeah.
Bentley Greens, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New Lambton versus Victory. You can't write that. It's going to be fantastic for the region. It's a shame they've got to go play it at Edgy's home ground, but just because of the lights and everything else, that's where they've got to go. But big for Lambton. Hopefully Topper Stanley can. He's out for about 8 weeks, I think, so he'll probably miss that. But Ben Kennedy, former Newcastle Jet, getting another run against A-League opposition, and it's good to see. Good to see the local guys.
Yeah, that was good.
The best one for me, Josh.
Yeah.
When it comes to those FFA Cup games, Green Gully versus the Mariners.
Oh yeah, what a day!
Down here.
What a day that was.
When we were in Jet shirts.
Yeah. Only 2 Jets fans in the stadium, sat right beside the Coasties and gave it to them.
Is that when Liam Boland scored from halfway?
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Best day. And then
we literally played a game of indoor, half an hour down the road, and then left the game early so we can go and watch it.
Legged it, got there early. Adam Peacock and I think it might have been Harps. I think friggin' pinned us out and so forth. And these 2 idiots, they're lost. But yeah, what a day that was. That was a good one.
We weren't.
Yeah, no, we weren't. No, cup sets. You got to love that. So the joys of the cups.
And then I think it came out 24 hours after that. The Coastie manager, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but he lost his job after that game.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, we are going to wrap it up there. We could sit here and talk football for ages, but it is what it is. We'll move on. We'll let Maurice enjoy the rest of his night. But yeah, mate, we thank you for coming on. If there's any questions, guys, that we didn't get to, the season's long, longest off season in history. We've got plenty of time. We're hoping to get should we be looking at Robbie next week. Stanton. I had Stammer on my mind. Then Stanton, we're looking at getting Robbie on next week just to get his thoughts on the boys after their first week of training. You guys will know when we know when Rob finds 5 minutes to jump on. But yeah, that's what we're looking at next. He's a busy man, right? That's what he said. He goes, I'll have to let you know. I've got no idea. So whenever he finds, when we know, you'll know. And we'll chat to him and get his thoughts.
He's got an incredible work ethic, Robbie Stanton. He's,
mate.
Getting to know him slowly, but he's always on, if you know what I mean. He's just always on.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter where or when, he's always on. You have dinner with him and 30 minutes in, the salt and pepper shakers, they're the 2 centre-backs, and then... Hopefully I don't get him into trouble. The soy sauce is making overlapping runs on the right-hand side.
Hopefully I don't get him into trouble here, but we're at that members sort of function thing at the sort of the back end of the season. We're sitting there and he come up to me and we're having a chat, and then Shane went up to sort of say a couple of words, and Shane's chatting away about something because I've got no idea, because Rob's in my ear going about, we want to move the boys up, they're going to play forward more. He's just talking to me about football formation and everything else, and then just sort of takes a bit of a glance up and goes, oh shit, he's talking. Sorry, mate. Just totally just lost track of where he was and what was going on around him. It was just 2 blokes talking football, and he was loving life. So
it's awesome. He's always on. He's always driving standards, in everything anyone does, and it's contagious when you're around him. You just, he's won every argument we've had so far, and I will get him on one.
He loves a good chin wag.
Yeah. The last one we had, there was a few of us there, and we're talking about who's the best centre back. Who's the best centre back that's ever played? Right? Someone just. Might have been John Cobiella just comes out with who's the best centre back.
Yeah.
And everyone's saying their bit, and it's going around, Brazy. And I've gone, mate, only one centre back, as far as I'm aware, has won a Ballon d'Or, right?
Yep.
World Cup winner, Champions League winner, Ballon d'Or winner, centre back.
Yep.
Right? And so Cannavaro, okay, good. And then someone said, oh, he wasn't even that tall, was he? I go, mate, he must have been 6 foot, right? Anyway. No, Rob's just gone, he's less than 6 foot. He's shorter than you. So on the Wikipedia, he goes, Coonabarra is 175 centimetres, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's like, mate, you got me again. All right, you win. He's, he's knowledgeable. He's on. He's hardworking.
Yep.
It's I'm excited for this year. Absolutely.
I'm going to throw another spanner into that argument. If you were to ask me that question, I would reply with Poyol.
Poyol, yeah, Poyol's good. He was a good back. He was a good centre back. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, what was that? Liverpool's big number 4. Yeah, absolutely. Virgil van Dijk, maybe he was.
Yeah.
He was.
The Swiss, he looked a bit ordinary the other night.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah, exactly right. But anyway, guys, we are going to wrap it up there. As I said, we'll hopefully have Rob on next week. Hopefully get a few of these new signings on as the boys sort of get into training a bit and everything else, and they've got something to sort of tell. And other than that, mate, we thank you for jumping on again.
No worries, boys. Anytime.
No worries. We'll speak to
Keep
you
up
soon,
the good
mate.
work, eh?
We'll try, mate. Thank you very much. Enjoy your week, or the remainder of it anyway.
Yeah. Ciao.
Too easy.
Ciao.
No worries, guys. But as we said, if you guys want to, just get rid of him. There we go. Pardon me. Yeah, if you haven't got your memberships already, be sure to jump on and do so. I seen your message before, Chris, as well, in regards to you might have a number regarding what the figures might be for members and that. Probably not yet. I'm guessing, well, he's probably waiting, because when's the auto? I think the auto renew comes out shortly. So
I'm just about to check it.
Yeah, so I think once that sort of auto renew goes out,
you should have had a reminder notification about it yesterday about the auto rollover.
Oh, there you go. I haven't.
Auto rollover is Friday the 28th.
Is that tomorrow? Yep.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. So, auto renewal tomorrow, so probably next week and so forth. I'll probably be able to get a better answer for you, because I'm sure between now and then all the members have checked their emails, received their email last week, which I got, stating that, pardon me, what's going on and everything else. So I'm sure.
I'm with you, Chris. I've already auto renewed.
Well, yeah, I haven't done anything. I just.
Yeah, I don't have to. It's just I had the money at the time to pay it all outright, so I just went, have it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. But I'm saying, so that they can't really get the numbers, I suppose. I'm sure there's been plenty of people that have rung up and gone, I don't want to sit here and I want to sit over here, but, I'm going to cancel for now because I've got shit going on, whatever. So
yeah. Until
they sort of get that final figure of rolling out what they've got.
We'll be a few weeks off that.
I'd say so, but, look, at the end of the day, you'd hope that half of those auto renews would at least go. So you're probably looking at maybe 3,500, 4,000 straight up auto renews at least. You'd hope. So, but yeah. Other than that, guys, we do appreciate you guys for hanging around. There's still over 20 of you in the chat, so we appreciate you guys for hanging around for the bit over an hour podcast with us.
Thank you for your questions, and also thank you to James for sending in that email as well. I hope we managed to get those answered for you.
Yeah, as I said, and like James, guys, if you want to send us an email, message, so forth, please do. We love that stuff. It means that, the platform that we use to stream and everything else is somewhat working. The figures are somewhat okay. There is someone out there listening. So, because obviously I've never seen James in the chat personally, so, it's good to see.
No, he was a first timer.
Yeah, so be sure, let us know. If there's any other questions as you guys have as we get back into the swing of things in the coming weeks that you want Maurice to answer and so forth, feel free, send them through. He's said he's more than happy for me to send a couple of questions through to him and, answer them, answer 1 or 2 questions a week sort of thing on the podcast. So if there's anything else out there that we may have missed, as we said, though, plenty of football going on. We've heard over the last, 10 hours in regards to Newcastle football. The season's been extended for local community football by at least a week or 2. With all this rain and wet weather we've had. Another wet week coming next week, which doesn't help. So we've got a few extra. We've extended the season by an extra week, and there's going to be a couple of games being played midweek, which is fantastic. I'm sure they could have stood back and just gone, oh, well, it is what it is. What do you want us to do? We've got X amount of
have
grounds.
A point each.
Yeah, have a point. Yeah, that's it. You have a point. You have a point. We'll all have a point. Eh? So even with the junior, the mini roos and stuff like that, they're trying to get as many of those games crammed in over Saturday, Sundays. My daughter's got one, hopefully again this week, Saturday, Sunday, trying to get the games in. So it's good to see that they're cramming them in, trying to make sure that the kids get what they've paid for and everything else. I think Chris put in there just quickly. I'm just going through some of these little points as well that I've seen in the chat regarding, the rugby, pardon me, the rugby league. He played rugby league, and they used to get all the juniors would get like a membership for the nights, and I remember that. And the Jets used to do something along those lines as well.
We used to get a free Big Mac
many moons ago. Yeah, I think they were seeing that one in the chat too. Yeah, the Mac.
Yeah, free Big Mac. I remember that.
Yeah. But I think that's in Northern New South Wales. I think need to be doing a lot more. Personally, that's just my opinion in regards to things like that. Even just for the local NPL. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're playing community football, the kids should get a free pass. Doesn't mean the adults get a free pass, but if the kids get one, which should be almost free anyway, right? For under 12s or 15s or whatever. But if one's free, if you get a kid, kid's free ticket, well, and the kids know about it, you're going to know about it. Dad, I've got let's go. I want to go. So, I think they need to probably look at doing a bit more in regards to that sort of thing. But yeah, anyway, good night, Matty. Thanks to Maurice too. Hopefully we can get in to watch the mighty red and yellow. Absolutely, Chris. Get him down. Watch some real football. Not these bloody NPL rubbish.
Some of the best games. Speaking of NPL stuff, massive congratulations to Jason Hoffman signing with Newcastle Olympic. We all knew it was going to happen someday.
Mate.
We all knew it was going to happen someday. I could have told you about that transfer 10 years ago.
Mate, that's again. You talk about another worst Newcastle secrets in frigging kept secrets in history. He's been training with them for nearly 2.5 months.
Even not being up there. Yeah. I could have told you 10 years ago that at some point towards the end of his career he will sign with Newcastle Olympic. I know that.
Yeah, he's said that numerous times in his Jets things and stuff like that. So, but look, at the end of the day, the biggest thing is, and people, why so long? His contract finally ended. That's the reason why. He was still contracted with the Jets until the 30th of June, which most people are technically. So I'm guessing that's sort of, he can't play.
They may have finished his playing contract early so we can start his new contract in the corporate side. So that may have accelerated that process.
Yeah, that's it. But technically, he couldn't play for Newcastle until...
No, he can't play for them until after the first.
That's right.
Or the first.
Exactly right. So, anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. As we said before, guys, thank you, everyone, for jumping on. Thanks for everyone's questions over the last 2 weeks. We hope you've enjoyed it. We just want to thank Maurice personally one more time. He didn't have to come on so quickly. It has been, I'm sure, a hectic month and a bit for him and obviously his partners. So, for him to come on and answer as many questions as he did and as honestly as he did as well, we do thank him for that. And we wish him the best of luck is the biggest one as well. Him along with Shane, hopefully they can get their heads together and, come up with some brilliant, things around the community and interacting with the fans and, community, as I said. So, appreciate it. Anyway, other than that, Benny, muchly appreciated again, as always.
Always a pleasure, my friends.
Good to have you back. It's been a while. So, look, guys, enjoy your community football if you get on this weekend. If not, go watch something. Go watch the local footy somewhere. Watch the Euros. The Copa America's starting to heat up now. Some interesting games going on over there. Mexico absolutely shit themselves this morning. Penalty, smacked old mate square in the head. Mate, it was all happening.
Yeah.
Not to get the bloody thing done, but as I said, the Euros are heating up as well. Round of 16 is about to get kicked underway on the weekend, and England, Slovakia, I think Portugal.
Aussies on the move.
Plenty of Aussies on the move. Yeah, exactly right. You've got plenty of Aussies over in Europe. Courtney Vine's gone to the States. You're talking about the women. The lovely Razzo. Where's she going to end up now? She's left Madrid. It's going to be a very interesting one to see what happens there. She could go anywhere in the world, that girl. So,
Fucking love it.
The fact
Love ribbons.
fact that she only played a season there and she struggled a bit. There's no question about that. I think the language barrier probably killed her a bit. Maybe.
Yeah.
Not she might speak fluent Spanish, but so that may not have been a problem. But let's say she didn't. That could have been a killer. But yeah, so no idea where she'll end up, but she could go anywhere she wants. So
all Aussie coaching staff at Tottenham now.
Yeah, all Aussie affair at Tottenham. All the Tottenham fans out there. Hey?
Getting the band back together.
Still not going to help you win a trophy, but it's all good.
Mick Montgomery might learn something.
Hey, all the coasties, mate. It's a coasty affair.
Yeah.
Coasty affair. Other than bloody Ange, it's a coasty affair. Bloody.
Yeah.
But yeah, plenty of things going on with the Australian. We've seen the Australian draw come out for the Asian sector of the World Cup qualifiers. Tough group. Tough group. But again, as I said, Benny.
What was the other one? Joe Muramoto, the Aussie coach.
Oh yeah.
Gone to Lyon.
Off to France with
bloody Lyon with Ali Carpenter.
Yeah, she's out there now. Yeah. So again, he's a talent, right? He's a talent. You can't coach at Juventus.
Great coach.
Can't coach at Juventus and Arsenal and things like that without sort of staying in that high end realm. So it would have been interesting to see him at Chelsea, to be honest. How about just quickly before we go?
You're not getting a Chelsea gig.
Oh, I know, right? Just quickly on that. I don't know if everyone's seen it. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube, watch it. It's everywhere at the moment. Optus Sports have probably got it as well. Sam Kerr's departure / friggin' bloody renewal friggin' video. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Mate, unbelievable. She's been, pardon me, absolutely, she's massively injured and so forth. She's copping plenty of heat at the moment in regards, into the British media and everything else in Australia and what's going to happen there with the captaincy and all that sort of thing. Then to just pull out a little cheeky, I'm leaving, I've had enough, see you later, and then, no, I'll stay here for another year. Or another 3 years, or whatever the hell it was she signed for. So, a bit of banter, a bit of Aussie humour, you got to love that. Shit's going south everywhere else, but, love it. Anyway, righto, matey, you go to bed, mate. Enjoy your red wine. Thanks for jumping on, as always. Chris has been in here, as I said. Even bloody Timmy Woods was in here before.
Timmy Woods?
Maurice was on a mission, fact-finding mission to get through one of those questions. I wasn't going to upset him and cut him off. So, Timmy, mate, hope you're enjoying the Copa America over there in the States. Hope you got to a few games, maybe. And, other than that, guys, as we said, we'll catch you guys next week. And, take it easy. Enjoy. We'll see you guys later.
And we hate Coast Scum.
And we hate Coast Scum, as always. Absolutely. See you guys.